we're in a topic today, just important, got kind of really popular mental and emotional aspects of a transition. And we're going to talk about anxiety and depression, not PTSD. This is something that I think 98% of people deal with at one point in their lives. Depression, anxiety. Did you deal with any of that through your transition, or have you had certain transition stories of people telling you about that?
Well, thanks for having me on again, Neil. Yeah, several people go through different things, and I mean, depression it can come on so quick. And let me state for the record that I am not a doctor, at all. But like myself personally, I've struggled with anger management, which can also, foster itself in different ways. So I think with depression, those are things where you get in these spirals and you can just keep going down and down and down, and they can lead to very unfortunate things. And there's so many different things that can trigger it, right? And that transition out of the military has so many emotions attached to it that sometimes things are going to manifest themselves that you didn't realize were there before. So it's being willing to identify that, hey, something's not right, and having the courage to go get the help that you need, and talk to somebody, because there's plenty of resources in and out of the military for this.
Absolutely. And those resources, Sean, are so important. What do we do like in this situation, especially if you're suffering from depression once you transition? Why are people suffering from depression after when they transition?
I, I I wish I knew. If I knew the answer to why, then I think we could solve the problem, right? But I think it just sets in for any number of reasons. It could be, just something triggered, a memory triggered. A lot of us who served over the last 20 years saw, deployments, and we lost friends in combat, and those types of things can manifest themselves through different things, especially the transition part, because you're now leaving the service where that was a part of your service. So there's a lot of different things like that I think that can play into it. Could be, some other life tragedy that you had. It could just be some sort of, imbalance. So there's plenty of different reasons that it could happen. I think the emotional things that occur, and the heightened emotions that occur during transition can help those things come to the surface again. And that's one of the reasons why we see some of that stuff during the transition process.
And it occurs. Now, when you talk about anxiety, that could be the anxiousness of basically not when you're in the military, your life is pretty scheduled, right? Very. And it's something where you have almost your day completely planned, kind of go through what a military vet goes through on a regular basis with a scheduled schedule, especially in their job and how work in the military when you're on a base.
Yeah, I mean, at least from the Army standpoint, things were pretty scheduled. You have your normal morning formation and physical training, and then, you got time to go shower and get breakfast and things like that. Then a lot of times you'll have some sort of morning meeting or formation for something else, whether it's, vehicle maintenance or some sort of training event. And then, you have whatever your scheduled day is. Of course, you have your break in there for lunch, and you may have, depending on your rank, your position, things like that, you could have more meetings, more training, whatever the case may be. And then, usually about 5 o'clock is when the flag goes down, and that's typically the end of the duty day. And as many veterans will tell you, experience is different. Between services, jobs, things like that. But typically you have a structured day, and whatever your job is in the military, you're typically doing that for the majority of the day. Now, when you transition out, you get a new job. Yeah, you still have a job you have to do, but it's not as regulated. You may have deadlines, you may have things like that, but there's not necessarily going to be a morning formation and things like that. So then you have to, rely on your own discipline or desire to, do physical training, and, whatever, manage your time that way. And some people take time to adjust to those types of things.
And a lot of times it's programmed. So you're having to create your own schedule now, and that can make you anxious, right? That
Oh,
and depression for sure, but anxiety, that probably is almost showing maybe some signs, maybe of PTSD if you have anxiety, right?
It could be. I mean, that there's a million reasons that people get anxious. And that one thing I will say with, you know, the veteran population, a lot of us have been in stressful situations and we're able to handle stress sometimes very well, sometimes you can't, and so trying it impacts everybody differently. And it the level anxieties, I believe, can also change, as far as the severity of them. Are you anxious about, an upcoming test at school because you decide to go back to school, or are you anxious because, you know, someone's going in for a medical test and you're hoping for the best? I mean, to me, that the levels of anxiety can definitely fluctuate in that sense.
Okay. I think that basically finding those health professionals, and the military has those resources. We talked last week about educational resources. There are definitely mental health resources available for vets after they retire, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have Military One Source, which you can always reach out to. You have things like the 988 hotline if you're feeling suicidal and things like that. There's some wonderful therapists out there doing great things. One of my good friends and friend of the program, Michael Cortina, has the Cortina method. He's worked with nonprofits doing retreats, and he's had amazing results helping people work through PTSD and things like that. His program and the work he's doing is absolutely amazing. And so finding those people like that are willing to, um, or not willing to, but do work with the military. They understand the military, the veteran, and they want the best for them. I mean, it's just so important to find those types of people, and there's plenty of them out here. And we also have organizations that help people find the right resources. So things like that are just so important to our community, and I'm so thankful that we have them.
Having those areas are huge. It is very, very big. And what tips do you deal with when you deal with anxiety? What types of things do you do to get rid of some of your anxiety?
I honestly, I try not to get too anxious about things. I had a mentor early in my military career that used to say that pressure bust pipes. And, so I always tried to maintain an even keel in stressful situations. But then again, like I stated earlier, I struggled with anger management. So my anger can get the better of me, and so understanding, there's certain situations to where I have to take a break, I got to move out of that, or, things like that, are all things that I've worked throughout my career, and, work on a daily basis to make, build resiliency, stay calm, try to be upbeat and happy, and things like that, and avoid those situations that I know are going to trigger certain emotions, because as I near 50, I don't need to put myself in a lot of those situations anymore. So just dealing with things like that and understanding yourself and how you react to certain things is really important to, I believe, being able to handle certain things.
Best place to go, Sean. Where can they go?
At SOSpodcast.com, you can find everything there.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it, sir.